But is surviving Christmas really what the season is about? It's tough to say when things began to get off track, but by January 1st, many of us freely admit we're glad it will be another year before the craziness of Christmas begins again. Well, if that's you, you're not alone. 4 pastors from across the U.S. had similar thoughts. Toronto pastor Darryl Dash explains.
They just began to talk about the fact they hate Christmas. And they began to think that's kind of weird. You know, we're pastors, we're not supposed to hate Christmas. And so what they did is they began to think about, what if we celebrated Christmas differently and took the focus away from the gifts and returned it to Christ. And they said, we really don't want to be Grinches and steal Christmas, but actually just celebrate it differently.
But what does celebrating Christmas differently mean?
They began to think about when Jesus came, he was a threat to Herod. And Herod basically decided he had to eliminate the threat by killing Jesus if he could. And they began to think, in what ways do we threaten the reigning emperor? And they began to think, really that reigning emperor is consumerism? And in what ways is Jesus still a threat to that?
Pastor Dash's church, Richview Baptist, decided to try this in 2007 and found it breathed new life into the season for his congregation.
People have done different things. An example of relational gifts would be to give a voucher and to say, let's go out for a meal, or let's go out for a coffee to Starbucks and we'll spend a couple hours together. Or fathers will say to their kids, we're finding a lot of fathers are just so busy, and they'll say to their kids, every Tuesday night, I'm going to go to the backyard and we're going to build a rink and we're going to play hockey together or skate together. And for kids who are starved of, they don't have enough of their fathers, it's much better than like a new Wii game or something like that. They actually get time with their father.
This is all part of what's called the Advent Conspiracy, a movement started by those 4 pastors who wanted to find a new way to approach the season. But it wasn't just about scaling back or giving relational gifts. This may not be what you're hoping to find under the tree this Christmas, but for 1 billion of the world's most vulnerable people, it would be the best Christmas present ever. With 30,000 people dying daily from lack of clean water, the Advent Conspiracy hopes to divert Christmas spending to third world water needs. Here's the way it's explained on the Advent Conspiracy website. It is shocking to think Canadians spend $35 billion on Christmas, but the Advent Conspiracy makes a powerful point about how just a little of it would solve the world's water problems. Richview Baptist took the challenge to heart and in 2007 raised $10,000 to provide clean water to people around the world. Their charity of choice was Living Water International Canada, now called Water Ambassadors Canada. Barry Hart is president.
They didn't warn us that they were doing this. They sort of, it was kind of an after-the-fact thing. So when you get a phone call with somebody doing a major gift like that, I mean, once again, it's tearful. It's kind of a humbling thing. You don't jump up and down and celebrate. You just think, wow, there's some folks out there that have dug quite deeply to help this water cause out.
Barry didn't start out as a water missionary. He was a teacher approaching retirement when he and his wife heard about the organization. But it was the stark reality of the devastation caused by unclean water that really impassioned Barry.
30,000 people die every day from bad water, from diarrhea and things like that. 6,000 of those are children under 5. And it's the diarrhea that kills them, the dehydration from diarrhea. And we always try to use the example of the tsunami that happened, Boxing Day a few years ago, where 300,000 people died in one event. Well, bad water, bad drinking water is killing 30,000 a day. So that means every 10 days there's another tsunami of water deaths around the world.
For me, it's yours. God is under.
Darryl Dash didn't only encourage his church to join the Advent Conspiracy, he and his family did it as well. But how did his children take the news?
My son is 9, and we were scared that he would say, like, oh, this Christmas was lousy. But he got it, and he got, especially when we talked about the pictures of kids who had to walk long distances to get water. And I think when they saw that we weren't saying no gifts for you too, they realized it wasn't giving up everything. It was actually just focusing more on what it should be about.
A quick survey of the congregation revealed the conspiracy had taken root in their homes as well.
For instance, I tried to spend time with my grandmother and just do nice things, you know. It was really rewarding because we bonded a lot, and it sounds a little bit cheesy, but it really does work.
I really don't need anything at this point in my life, and I've been blessed so much throughout life with the struggles we've been through, and people have been good to us, and it was kind of like a way of giving and helping others. And no, I didn't miss opening gifts.
Well, I think it's important because they don't have as much as us, and they don't have water, and they're barely surviving on anything, and it's not we have so much that we can just give.
And those 4 pastors that started it all? Well, in 2006, they raised $630,000 towards water projects, and the next year that number grew to $3.8 million. More than the dollars, the Advent Conspiracy hopes their efforts will make everyone take a fresh look at what the season should be about. In Toronto, Cheryl Weber, 100 Huntley Street.